Book Dragons, it's Alyssa and you're watching Pages in Ink. Today I am doing a book roast or book toast, so essentially a book review on Caraval by Stephanie Garber. So while the first half of this review is going to be spoiler free, the second half is probably going to include spoilers. This book follows Scarlet and her sister Donatella. There is a mysterious traveling carnival magic show type thing called Caraval, and it never goes to the same place twice, and it pops up to a new place each year. Scarlet and Donatella have wanted to go their whole lives. They are stuck on the island of Trisda where they live with their father, who's a governor, and he's kind of the antagonist of the story, or at least the beginning of the story. Scarlet is betrothed to a count, not on the island. She's never met him before, but he does send her letters and she kind of falls for him. And he is her ticket off the island and away from her father, for her and her sister. That is until she gets tickets to Caraval. But this year is a little bit different because it is going to be on the Ringmaster's private island, and he goes by Legend. So through a set of circumstances, Scarlet finds herself in the company of a sailor that she doesn't really know anything about named Julian, and her sister at Caraval, and I keep wanting to call it Caraval. Caraval and her sister goes missing. And that's when they realize that this year the game of Caraval is finding Donatella. Whoever does that and finds Legend and wins Caraval is granted one wish. But not everything is as it seems, and it seems like there might be more danger lurking behind every corner than fun magic. So I will say that I got sucked into this story pretty quickly. I wasn't expecting like a circus, but I was expecting a little bit more of a show. There is a lot of magic woven in, don't get me wrong. Like there's fortune tellers and there's different shops, but you don't pay in money, you pay in other things like wishes or days of your life. And I like that aspect of it. I found it very mysterious and very endearing, even though it had this whole dark and sinister feel to it. For this being her debut novel, I found the writing very interesting and beautiful. There were some parts that were very flowery. I'm not super into flowery writing, but the way that she did it, I could get behind. It added to the mystery of Caraval and the mystery of the island and the adventure and what was going on. The actual story itself, I'm not going to say anything until I hit the spoiler part, but the story itself, the ending left me very upset. At one point, I just dropped the book and walked away for a minute because I just was let down by it. You get brought on this amazing journey of 350 plus pages, and then the last little bit you're like, why? Why? Why, Stephanie Garber? Why? Why? Something that I really didn't like was the emphasis on the romantic relationship in this book and the lack of relationship between Scarlet and Donatella. So for past Caravals, the game was to find like trinkets or something. So when Scarlet realizes that it's her sister that they have to find, her sole purpose is to track down the clues, do whatever it takes to find her sister. But you don't get a lot of that bond. While there are some flashbacks in this book, they're mostly about Caraval and Legend, but you don't really get any flashbacks about her and her sister. And I found that very odd, since the whole driving force of this book is her love for Tella. As someone who has a sister, if I was on this island and this was going on, I absolutely would not be sucked into a love story, especially if I think that my sister's in danger and I think that what's going on is more sinister than it looks or more sinister than I thought. I would be doing the best that I could to hunt her down. I wouldn't be caring about some boy that I just met who may or may not have all these mysteries surrounding him as well. I did enjoy this book. It sucked me in. I read it in like two days, maybe. Like actively read it. It might have been over the span of 3 days, but I think one of those days I didn't pick it up because of homework and work. But I read it, and probably if I had sat down, I would have read it all in one day if I didn't have other obligations. So I did really enjoy it. I am 100% moving on to the second one, and I'm very excited for the third one to come out. This does end a little bit on a cliffhanger, and it kind of got me sucked in. I was a little over this book. When I reached the end, I was really pissed off about the end, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna keep reading it, but then there was a little bit of a cliffhanger and it sucked me in again. So good job, Stephanie Garber. Good job. This book, the whole time I was reading it, I was debating if I was gonna give it a 4 or 4.5 stars because I really enjoyed it. The main thing that got to me was the romance side of it, but I was able to ignore it because of everything else that was going on. But then the ending happened, so it bumped it down a little bit. So I would give this a 3.5, maybe even a 3. I'll let you know in my February wrap up what my official rating on this book will be. So that is the end of the spoiler-free portion of this review. I do just want to touch on a couple things in this book that will contain spoilers. So if you have read this book, you can continue watching, or if you don't care being spoiled about this book, go ahead and keep watching. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is Scarlett, because I wasn't able to go into some detail that I wanted to. I liked that she was afraid, and I liked that she was timid, because as someone who grows up being abused, they're not going to be 100%, yay, let's go ahead and take risks and potentially harm myself or my sister. And I really liked that aspect. I liked that she saw emotions in color. I wish that there was more to it, like maybe she had some magic and some other things going on, or maybe she was somehow a descendant of legend. I think that would have been so cool if you found that out. Or it would have just been awesome if what you were reading in this book actually happened. If it wasn't the equivalent of, it was all just a dream, magic, it was all magic and a game, and no one died, and nothing actually happened, and everything that you have been reading for 350 pages is just a bunch of bull. Yeah, that's what happened. It was the equivalent of, it's all just a dream. You literally like read about people's deaths, and you read that Legend is this villain, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I would have loved this book so much if it really was that Legend was targeting her family and going after her and was kind of a giant psychopath, not kind of, a total giant psychopath who was on this like crazy murderous rampage, but he covered it all up with magic. That would have been amazing. But instead it's like, hey, just kidding, it was a show and Donatella was in on it and she helped plan it all, and all of these things that you thought you had to do to get clues were just tests to see how much you loved your sister. What? What did I just read? What? So I do want to address the love interest again, Julian. What the hell, first of all? So you find out that Julian is Legend's brother, and that he's an actor and played the whole part, and everything that he told her in this book was a lie. But no, Scarlett, what I was feeling was real. My feelings for you are real. It may not matter that everything I said about myself was a lie except for my first name, but I am into you. I would give everything up for you. It was basically the equivalent of I love you. And I've only known you for 5 days. Oh, Julian, don't worry about the fact that all you did was lie to me and make me think that I was going to get murdered, and make me think that you got murdered, and make me think that my sister was going to get murdered and my whole family was going to die. It's okay, because I love you. Ugh. I just am so mad about a lot of things in this book. All the family dynamics were crap. So her and her sister, you didn't get to really see that because her sister was gone for most of it. And then when you do see it, you see Donatella tricking her sister into thinking that she was going to be killed. And then on top of that, you have the relationship with her father, who the only thing about him is he's abusive. He's just kind of this generic angry guy that's only exists to further the plot. And then you meet her fiance, the Count, who it's the same thing. He just has no point in being there. So I just don't understand why he even needed to be in the book. I feel like every character in this book wasn't what they appeared to be. All of them. Every character isn't real. I feel like I'm just having like a moment. So remember it's only a game. I guess I need to remember it's only a book. And I don't know what else to say other than I do recommend it, but go into it knowing that it's not at all what you think it's going to be. Yes, I had a moment where I feel a little hollow inside after that moment. Anyway, so that's my review on Caraval by Stephanie Garber. The more that I talk about it, the more I think it's a 3-star book and not a 3.5. If you've read this book or you're wanting to read it, let me know what you thought of this book if you've read it, and if you want to read it, let me know what seems the most interesting to you about this book. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you want to join the Book Dragon family, we would absolutely love to have you. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below, and then also don't forget to hit that notification bell as well. And until next time, as always, remember to be nice to yourself and be kind to others. Bye!